Rob, this is a bad situation, but as hard as it is to believe, having sampled the output of Seth Rogen's movies, each one tends to make about $90 million, apparently. And The Interview, the film involving North Korea, which Sony has just pulled, apparently costs about $42 million to make, which is almost as much as it costs to make one of these Lex videos. Those numbers seem quite trivial. I mean, are they?
Operating profit last year at Sony Pictures was around $500 million, and revenue was about $8 billion. So the revenue they would have made from a single film like this is probably pretty trivial. That said, you have to think about reputational damage, and the film business as part of Sony is incredibly important. That $500 million in operating profit sit next to a music business that makes a little less than that, an optics business that makes a little less still, and then a whole range of electronics business that just absorb money rather than producing it. There's also a financial services business, which is probably the most important. So film is a precious asset for Sony that they have to protect.
Now, they've pulled it entirely, but one of the things they could have done, I'm not saying it's what they will do, is to just put out onto video on demand or Netflix if movie theatres didn't want to show the film because of the risk. And they were key to that decision. Now my question is this a moment where actually those theatres' economic relevance is declining, and this is just a sign of that?
Right. If the movie theaters are no longer an important window in the profit chain of a film, so they can blithely cancel movie release and just go on and make money elsewhere. Judging by the results of the cinema companies, they have slight declines on the top line, but those businesses still generate a lot of cash, which suggests that they also provide quite a bit of value to the film companies themselves. Of course, there's another question here we haven't addressed, which is what Sony's insurance policy looked like. And it may be that if they do not release the film at all, they get to claim it as a complete loss, and their losses go to zero.
Yeah, I think one thing we're learning here is maybe film financing might be more complex than people realise. But also, this is a story about hacking.
Yes.
Now, why should I not just go out and panic buy FireEye shares or shares in any sort of hacking, anti-hacking specialist? Because it seems Sony has been blindsided here.
Well, when I've talked to leaders of companies and talked about the risks and opportunities going into 2015, they all talk about the risk of being hacked and how they think this is the year we're going to see the really big destructive hack. So I don't think that Seth Rogen getting hacked is going to be the thing that makes CFOs, CEOs, and CTOs realize they have to spend a lot of money on security. So I think, unfortunately, you're a little late to your trade. However, we do expect it to be a big story next year.
Okay, something to look out for. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks.